Welcome to Ignite and Inspire, a podcast by entrepreneurs who were once in your shoes. My name is Tina Hamilton. I'm the CEO and founder of MyHR Partner. As a mentorship co-chair for Entrepreneur Organization of Philadelphia, I created the EO Ignite program, or EOI, to empower and uplift underserved entrepreneurs in the early stages of their organizations. EOI is committed to giving back by providing impactful support through mentorship and educational opportunities. Our goal is to break through barriers, fostering an environment where entrepreneurs can thrive and build sustainable success. So today's guest is Eric Griffin with Mobile Outfitters.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, great to have you here.
Good seeing you.
Tell me a little bit about your business, or tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, Mobile Outfitters. We're based in Manayunk, right outside of Philly. And we invent and we manufacture cell phone accessories, like screen protectors.
Okay.
And in fact, we invented a little machine that makes screen protectors in stores on demand. It's
cool.
of our little thing. And we sell them through a bunch of retailers around the world. We got about 1,300 locations across 60 countries.
Wow, that's incredible. And it certainly didn't start out that way for you.
No, definitely not.
Today's subject is breaking the mold, and I think you're like the perfect person. You're even making kind of little molds on your phones, right?
That's right.
So tell us about your early days and how you got started and what got you to where you are.
Sure.
Now.
Yeah. It's been sort of a theme through my life, really. I was always entrepreneurial. You don't know, sometimes you don't know that about yourself at the time. You're kind of doing a thing on the side, or, you have a side hustle or a hobby, and it's actually an entrepreneurial thing, but you don't know it yet.
That's
anyway,
right,
when I look back at my life, I had a lot of those. And in hindsight, they were entrepreneurial little ventures, little companies.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought they were just fun things I was doing. So when I was 6 or 7, I remember I wanted to collect baseball cards, and I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So I had this idea. What if I became like a wholesaler of baseball cards and convinced my dad to buy like a case of cards, a wholesale, and then I could sell the packs, and then I would keep the money from the packs, and I would pay my dad to pay for and then I would keep all the packs left over, right? That was my profit, the baseball cards. So
that was your motivation.
That was my motivation. I just wanted baseball cards. I didn't have any
Not money.
So if I could get a loan, So
awesome.
We started E&E Factory. My name's Eric. Everyone calls me Griff. My name's Eric.
Yeah.
My dad's name is Eric. I'm a junior. So we named it E&E Factory. It was not a factory, but anyway.
So cute.
He did it. My dad started an LLC for me, and we bought one case of cards, and
you actually had an LLC at 6 years old.
I had a business card. I still have it.
No kidding.
I made myself a little business card on my dot matrix printer, and went around the neighborhood, and
I love that.
that was it. That was my first quote, air quotes, business. Yeah.
And it went okay?
It went okay. I got a bunch of cards out of it.
Yeah?
I built my little collection.
You still have them?
I sold that collection for some different hobby. I just kind of kept rolling it
Right.
forward into the next thing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then so did you find yourself doing other things like that as along the years before college?
Yeah. Yeah. It was nonstop, honestly.
Really?
I'm going to school as a kid. So we fast forward to high school. School's a little more serious,
Yeah.
You're thinking about college. And honestly, I was never really a great student. I was a good kid, but I was not a good student.
Okay.
I just didn't care,
Yeah.
really. Like they're sitting up there teaching about chemistry, and I just couldn't hold my attention. I
Right.
just didn't care.
Yeah.
But then I would get home and I would do computer stuff or do what, looking back, is like I was trying to start a business, my businesses.
Yeah.
And school was just like a distraction. That's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
But I fought that really hard because in my mind, and it wasn't my parents supported me. It wasn't like they said, you must be a doctor or a lawyer, you
Right.
know. But I think I felt like maybe from society, like you got to go to high school, go to college, get a job. And then there's this thing on the side. I never flipped that in my mind. So the next venture that really got traction, we're going back early days.
Yeah.
CD burners were first of all, CDs were a thing for anyone listening that's too young. That's how we listened to music.
That's right.
And they were expensive.
Yes.
And you couldn't make your own CDs. You bought whole albums from the store. I found an ad in a magazine for a CD recorder. It was like $800.
Wow.
And this is like, I was like 13.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of money.
So you didn't have $800 probably, yeah.
So, but I realized if I got one of them, I could download music and I could make people mixtapes on a CD, which like no one could do, and I could sell them.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And in order to do that, I had to convince Comcast to let us beta test high-speed internet because high-speed internet wasn't a thing.
No kidding.
So I called them every day.
No way.
You know, I want to be. So anyway, we got high-speed internet before anyone had it.
Wow.
I got this CD burner, and I started selling CDs, and it was like I had like a line out the door for them.
No kidding.
So then I'd say, oh, I'll design your custom artwork for your custom CD for an extra, $10 or
Wow.
So I was making $30 a CD. In high school, it was like,
Wow.
here it is.
And you were probably a pretty popular
hit the
guy
gold
then,
mine.
right?
Yeah, like everyone's dropping,
That's a cool
giving
thing.
me all their music they want to make their. So yeah, so that turned into another business where I drop shipped hard drives, which turned into like a little eBay business, which turned into,
Wow.
and along the way. And none of these really worked. They worked on a small scale, but they
Sure.
all kind of failed
Yeah.
until I finally, landed on what I do today.
And how did that? So first of all, great story. I bet you were super popular in high school, making those cool CDs. That's just a cool thing, let alone a necessary
Little
thing.
business.
Yeah. So then, all right. So tell us how you transitioned to mobile outfitters. Like,
Yeah.
how did that idea come about or plan?
Yeah, I mean, I think an important lesson just to like pause for a second.
Yeah,
Tina,
sure.
Almost never is the business you think you're starting
Mm-hmm.
going to be the business that actually makes you money or becomes successful. Or
That's a good point.
you just have to start somewhere with
Yes.
something you're excited about.
Right.
And you don't worry where that's going to go. You just go with it, and it'll take you where you really need to be. And that has been my story. So all these things led to another thing, and along the way, maybe it didn't work, but I gained a skill set that then I took
Yeah.
to the next thing. And
Yeah.
it's this culmination of all those that got me to the business I have today. So, but the direct line,
Yeah.
the direct line is that in college, freshman year, cell phones were in the U.S. pretty bad. We had like flip phones.
Okay. Yeah. When you started, that's
When
what
I
was
start- yeah, that was
happening.
it. Like
Okay.
people that had a cell phone, which wasn't everybody,
Yeah.
had a Motorola flip phone.
Okay.
And I remember I was browsing around the internet and I saw this Sony Ericsson T68i. It was a cell phone with a color screen, and it blew my mind. And I had to have it, and it was in the UK only.
Oh.
And I was like obsessed with getting this phone. I didn't have any money, so going back to my baseball card days, I was like, okay, if I want this phone, other people probably want this phone. So I convinced them to sell me 10 at a wholesale rate. I brought them in from London. I paid on my credit card, which I had no money to actually, pay off. I got these 10 phones. I sold 9 of them, and I got my free color screen phone for me. I
right.
kept the one left.
Before you go on, you've convinced a number of people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. Convincing Comcast to do something right away is something that people are probably cheering you on for. So, I mean, just convincing them they answer the call, right? So, what is that? What is that thing that you have that you can convince people to do something? Well, how would you describe it?
Good question. Definitely a skill that I have and have developed. I never graduated college, but I convinced them to let me walk at graduation because I
What?
had all my family flying in. So that's a different story.
Oh,
maybe for
wow.
a different day.
Definitely
So I've
hear about that.
definitely convinced a lot of people to do a lot of things.
Okay.
I think one of the things it is, I've never really dove into it before, but it is just a relentless persistence that I'm just not going to give up till I get it, till
That's
I get
it.
that thing.
Just that's it.
And I think the other side of it is if you really, truly believe in something, people sense that passion. If your motivation is just to make money or just to, no
Right.
one cares, and they see right through you.
Absolutely.
But if you are so passionate and you have so much conviction, people want to help. They want
Yeah.
to help you
Right.
get to where you want to go if they sense it's genuine.
Yeah.
And I think in all these cases, my motivation was like just a thing I was really passionate about.
Yeah.
And other people, they want to get behind that. Like they want to follow that. And I think there's a little piece of that there too. Plus, I probably just annoy them so much that I got to get this kid to stop calling me. Give him the internet so he stops calling.
Just give him the phones.
So maybe that's what it is.
Cool.
I never reflected on it, but
no, I was just curious. And you said
question.
that, and you said something else that resonated with me, and that was that you just did it. Like you were going to do it, and you just did it. I forget exactly. Yeah, just start. That's been an underlying theme for every podcast we've recorded so far. Is that everyone said they just did it. Like there wasn't a question. There wasn't it's going to happen as much as you're going to walk out the door today. It's going to happen.
Tina, I mean, I think a golden rule for anyone who's an entrepreneur, wants to be an entrepreneur, is thinking about being an entrepreneur, you can convince yourself that anything is a bad idea. If you think enough about anything, like if there's a free gold bar on this desk, if I think about it long enough, I'll come up with 10 reasons why I shouldn't pick it up. And our brain gets in the way of that. And the reality is, you don't know what's going to happen. You think you do. You think you can sit down and think about it hard enough and figure it out. You can't. So what your brain does is it figures out all the risks, because we're survival, figures out all the reasons why you shouldn't do a thing. If you just you start getting real data, not made up data that your brain thinks, but real data.
That's
do people like it? Do they? Yeah. And that's why I believe starting, obviously you put a little bit of thought into what you're doing and some intention, some planning, but at some point you just got to start and then change your plan according to what you see. And that holds so many people back. They ask 10 friends, you think this new idea is a good idea? And 8 of them tell them no.
Sure.
And they're like, it wouldn't work. Well, I don't know. Most people don't know what they're talking about.
That's right. And they're also not entrepreneurs, so you're probably asking the wrong person anyway.
They see all the made-up risks in their brain. And it's like, well, if you just started, people will tell you with their wallet if it's a good idea or not. You don't need to ask them, I'm just a firm believer in that.
That's obviously, that's worked for you. So you get these colored phones from the UK. You get 10 of them.
I get 10. I sell 9. I keep 1. And it turns into a whole business.
And how are you selling them?
I'm just
finding people that...
putting them on eBay.
Oh, on eBay. Okay, cool.
I built an e-commerce website, when that was kind of early days. I became known around campus as like the guy with the cool phones.
Yeah.
And then I bought more. And then I bought different phones. Then I bought accessories. And before I knew it, I went part-time in school. I worked with the dean. I said, look, I was doing about $1.5 million in revenue by junior year.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I went to the school. I said, I want to go part-time. I want to finish my degree, but I got this real business. Like this is my career. I know it.
Right.
So I went part-time as an engineering student, and I hired kids around campus, and I had this business, and I ran it through, and ultimately it dominated my brain space, and school just got worse and worse. Until I went part-time. I put a class. You normally take junior year to the very end of senior year, which is required to graduate, and I failed it. So that's why I didn't get a diploma, because I failed a required course.
But you have no choice. You have to tell us how you got them to let you walk, because I've never heard that before.
So I didn't know I was going to fail this class, right?
Yeah.
I begged the teacher. I was like, his name was Kevin Buckley. Kevin, if you're listening. Kevin Buckley, he was the teacher, the only teacher this one class. I begged him. I said, Kevin, I'm not going to be an engineer, I promise. Like, you don't need to worry about the integrity of engineers. I got this thing. This is what I'm going to do for my career, but I need to pass this class. He didn't care, so he failed me. I failed. To be clear, I failed. He didn't fail me. I failed. He didn't bail me out.
That's right.
I'm not blaming him. So anyway, I had all my family. We had a graduation party lined up. Everyone's flying in.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm like, I can't not graduate.
Right. Oh, God. Tell everyone.
And it wasn't about pretending. I'll tell them I didn't graduate, but they're here. So anyway, the night before graduation, I'm talking to the dean on the phone. Look, I'll make it up. I'll do summer class. I need to walk tomorrow. I need to walk it. So when I showed up for graduation in my cap and gown, I didn't know if I was actually going to get my name called or not. They never gave me an answer. So I flagged someone down. I got the list. I'm looking at the list. Oh, my name's on there.
Wow.
So we're good. So then I did the whole thing. They called my name. They give you the empty book.
Okay,
and I just never got a diploma.
Wow. That's incredible. I love that.
I never went back and took the course.
That's a motivating. It may not have to exactly do a business, but you just got to ask, right?
Sometimes you got to convince people of what you believe in.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and then I went, the phone business did turn into my job right out of school. We got an office.
Yeah.
I went to work with my buddy Dennis, who's still my partner. We were co-founders in this company and the last company. And we got it to about $3.5 million in revenue the first year out of college. And then it's a different story we can or don't have to go into, but it then very quickly tanked, and we had to kind of pivot, which is how we got to the business we have today. So
Okay.
that's kind of the short story of how we got.
Well, yeah, you might as well.
business.
Yeah.
What
I'd
happened.
Love to hear, yeah.
All right, so here's the problem with success early on. You get pretty cocky.
Okay.
So, we're in our 20s. We're making great money.
Yeah.
Got a fairly sizable business for that age. It was our first business, and it did well. So you just kind of think, all right, I'm God's gift to business. Like, cool. Like, I'm just really good at this.
And you already had a couple successful things.
And I had some things along the way, right? And it's like, all right, I'm making more money than if I got that, in my mind, dumb degree and went to work for an engineering firm.
Right.
And so I know I have all the answers. And so we ran that business. We call our fat and happy days. So we got lazy. There was no planning. There was no strategy. We'd wake up. We'd go to the office around 10. We'd answer the emails in our inbox. We'd pick up the phone when it rang, and we'd go home. Mm-hmm. And so we just kind of took the things that hit our doorstep, which is a terrible strategy.
Yeah.
Showing up is not a strategy.
No.
So we did that, and then the iPhone came out. So that business, we would import cell phones
Okay.
that weren't available here, and we would sell them online. That
Okay.
was our
You're
business.
still doing that.
We're still doing that. So there's these Nokia phones and Siemens and HTC, all these crazy phones that don't exist anymore.
Wow.
Because the iPhone put them out of business. Well, the iPhone also put us out of business because when it came out, 2007, no one cared about our phone.
Okay.
They just wanted the iPhone.
Sure.
So could we have seen that coming? Absolutely. In fact, we knew Apple was working on a phone. We had friends at Apple saying they're working on something big. And we were like, if Apple ever makes a phone, we're screwed. That's what we would say in like the halls. And what did we do about that? Nothing.
No planning.
No planning.
Yeah. Okay.
So
there's a tidbit.
There's a tidbit. If you think something would put you out of business one day, you may want to start brainstorming on what you're going to do if it happens.
Because you always have to stay ahead. You can't be thinking that it's so easy to think you're the leader, you're the best, whatever.
Look at, I don't know, Sears. Look at,
Right.
you can name 100 companies that back then everyone would say that about them, and today they're irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah, you constantly have to reinvent yourself. So we failed to do that. iPhone came out, derailed the company. I think we went from that $3.5 million to, I don't know, under $1 million in under 18 months. So it was bad.
Wow.
So we went from our fat and happy days to this is my rock bottom story. Mm-hmm. So everyone that joins our company, they hear this whole story.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So I've told it a gajillion times.
Yeah.
Because it's important. There's really great lessons in there.
Yes.
And this is where our core values came from. So iPhone comes out. We did nothing to plan. We got lucky in that only America had the iPhone. So we would roll into the Apple store and buy like 100 iPhones on a credit card.
Oh,
And then we figured out how to unlock them, and then we sold them to the people we used to buy from. So everyone in Europe wanted the America phone instead of everyone in America wanted the Europe phone. So we had a very short 6-month stint where we were like probably one of the biggest exporters of iPhones in the country.
No kidding.
But that only lasted so long because everyone figured out how to do it.
Right.
So that got us, that was like that was our life raft.
Right.
Not our boat to get us to the next place, but at least we're not drowning.
Yeah.
Then we had to figure out what we had to do next. At the same time, when we were selling cell phones, people wanted accessories. Like you're buying a phone, you want a charger, you want a screen protector. And we were making screen protectors, and we would put them on phones before we shipped them out. So that was, we didn't have a brand for it. We just kind of did it.
Okay.
But when the phone business tanked, we realized, people really like the screen protector we were selling. What if we just made a whole business around that? And we had nothing else going. I mean, honestly, it was sort of like, well, I don't know what else we're going to do, so I guess we'll do that. And that's what we did. And, to fast forward to think, that turned into an actual company, 40 people.
That's incredible.
Crazy. But yeah, that was the birth of what is now Mobile Outfitters. It was out of the ashes of a failed business. Mm-hmm. But again, going back to just start somewhere, the data that we gained doing the failed business is what enabled us to start the successful business. And had we never started, We wouldn't have known people
That's
like
right.
that screen protector.
Right.
We wouldn't have known how to make a screen
Isn't
protector.
that amazing?
It's amazing. You just have to get out there, right?
And you have
get
to
some
have your
feedback.
eyes open for what was right in front of you, literally.
Yeah, right. We could have missed that entirely.
Yeah, you could
We said,
have.
well, it's over.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get a job.
Right.
That's it. And so, but the transition wasn't so smooth. You know, it's not like the movies where,
Sure.
and everyone loved the product, and here we
Yeah.
are.
Woohoo.
So what happened was the phone business was tanking. The screen protector business was a startup. You know, no one
Yeah.
knew it. And we were going into debt like by the day, trying to figure that out. And so the bottom was, it was just me and Dennis. We had laid off, we had one or two other people working for us. They had to go. So it's me and Dennis. We're in this tiny office. We didn't have any heat because we didn't pay our heat bill. So they shut us off.
Wow.
And it was the dead of winter, and we have our space heaters on. And we both got the flu at the same time. And I remember sitting there in this office. We both got our hoodies on, our space heater blasting, and I'm just like answering customer service emails like on my computer.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, what the hell am I doing with my life? You know, why am I doing this? Like I'm answering angry customers about my failing business where I'm not getting a paycheck while I have the flu and no heat. Like, why am I
it's-
doing this?
Sounds pretty miserable.
It was
yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
And I started that night writing a resume. And that's how I knew I had hit bottom, you know, because I never, ever in my life thought, and there's nothing wrong with writing a resume and getting a job, but
course.
for me, I had never done that.
Did you ever work anywhere?
I worked at the grocery store when I was 14 to 18.
Okay, so that
in the
really, that
summers.
was.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like, this is not the trajectory I thought I was on. It was, you know,
Yeah.
caught me by surprise. And halfway through writing that resume, I stopped. I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. So Dennis and I started talking, like, what are we going to do with all this debt? We had like $200,000 in debt.
yeah,
that my
that's
dad
tough.
he like put his house up, you know, got
Ouch.
but let us
Ooh.
use it as the loan. But it was our, you know, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, he's not paying for that. That's us.
Right. No.
We're saying like, how are we going to pay this off? You know, we're going to get jobs. And, you know, Dennis took some interviews at companies, but we kind of kept coming back to it. But all along the while, we're building the screen protector business, and slowly but surely, and this is also 2008-9, so, you know, in 10, the economy was, you know, the world was also
Right.
falling apart.
Not in a good place. Yeah.
But we were getting traction, and we did like $100,000 in our first year, then $800,000 our second year. Before we know it, we had a business around this little screen protector.
Wow. It's incredible.
Yeah. So then the next kind of milestone, it was going okay, but it wasn't great. We weren't making, I don't know, we were making the modest salary, but working, you know,
Right.
80, 90 hours
I was
a
going to
week.
say, probably killing yourselves.
So we said, what if we opened up a little kiosk in a mall and we sold our screen protectors to people and put it on their phone for them? 'Cause
Oh.
before we were like selling them online, shipping them. And I don't know, you're competing with everyone when you do that.
Right.
And we thought, well, people used to like it when we put it on the phone and shipped it. So what if people want us to put it on their phone for them? What if that's the magic sauce?
It's a great idea because I remember trying to, if you did it wrong, you ruined it. And,
It's horrible.
Right.
Bubbles and dust. And
Yeah.
So we weren't so smart that we identified all that, but we were like, let's try it. So we signed in a last-ditch effort to like make this company work. We signed a lease with King of Prussia Mall. We opened up those temporary carts in the middle
Yeah.
aisle. And Dennis and I worked at that mall cart 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to
Wow.
10 p.m. every day. And we also had to run the office. So one guy would work at the mall while the other one went to the office and answered customer service and made the screen protectors, because we make all this stuff.
Oh, you're making it yourselves.
We make it all ourselves. Not like
Wow.
we just call the distributor up and say, give me 1,000 more. We're
Right.
like doing the designs and then making it on the
Whew.
machine and then putting in a. So one guy would do that, the other would work at the mall, and then the guy from the office would go to the mall, work the night shift, and repeat. And we did that for about 4 months. We didn't get a single day off. We were starting to burn out.
Sure.
And we started to hire staff. And we slowly figured out all the changes we needed to make. You know, we were selling it too cheap, and we were doing this wrong, and the signage was bad. You know, again, you get out there, and then you see what people think, and then you
Sure.
adapt.
You have to.
And what we figured out in all that was that this little retail store is a great idea, but we shouldn't be the ones doing it. So we realized we're good at making the product, the marketing, we're good at all that stuff, but we're really bad at running retail stores. So we turned that into what's similar to a franchise program. We said, okay, what if we link up with people, they run the store, it's their store, and they just buy the stuff from us.
Okay.
And we do the signage for them, and we give them the brand and the marketing, but they're the ones that are running the store.
So a franchise or a licensee?
Licensee, we call it. It's a
licensee?
license program. License and franchise are similar with some legal differences, and we didn't want to go down the franchise rabbit hole because it's a tiny little store. It's not like a
Right.
huge shop doing a lot of revenue.
Right.
So the
It's
cost
still a
didn't make
kiosk,
sense.
right?
But it's still a little kiosk.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And they're still just doing screen protectors.
Yep.
And that was a tipping point for us at the company. It was like, when you figure out, so the lesson here is, when you figure out there's things you're good at and there's things you're bad at.
Right.
And you need to be willing to admit, I'm not good at these things. There's other people out there that are really good at what you're bad at and really bad at what you're good at. And if you can, whether you're hiring someone or partnering with someone or doing business with someone, you want those complementary skills. You don't want overlap, right? You don't need 8
Right.
people thinking the same thing with the same skill. That was where we figured that out. That other people are great at retail. They love retail. They love working in the mall every day. We dreaded every minute of it. We did it because we had to.
Right.
But why would you do that? Give it to people that know how to do that and want to do it.
Right.
And then go back to the office, do the things you want to do. And we built the whole business around this license program. We got, it's still a significant part of the company today. We turned it into an international program. And we have about 40 master licensees running these 1,300 stores around the world.
1,300.
And we started with that one in King of Prussia.
In King of Prussia Mall.
And just working it ourselves.
And now how did you become global, or is that maybe too long of a story for this? But
It's, I'll give you the short version, Tina. It's again the happy accident with you just got to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
We started in the U.S. We opened locations. A guy that was living in Dubai but was from America was traveling back home to America, bought our product in a mall, went back to Dubai, said, no one does anything like this here. Called us up, said, could I do this here? We said, sure, why not?
wow.
Turned it into said, but you have to buy the license. Kind of making that up
Yeah.
at the time. But it worked. And we're saying, there's a business model there. There's
Sure.
an opportunity, but we're not going to go open stores in Dubai.
Right.
But they can. So let's build a business for that. And that evolved, to where we are today with
That's
all these
incredible.
master licensees. Yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't, again, we didn't sit down and write a business plan and
Right.
identify, first we'll go to Dubai and then we'll go to Italy and then we'll go to Belgium and then we'll go to France. No, we just started and we, like water, kind of followed, the path of least resistance when people were saying, why don't you do this and this? And then we got input and we adapted.
Right. And you didn't let negative thoughts get in your way, apparently.
No, kind of an ultimate optimist.
Right.
I'm always like trying to find the silver lining or
Yeah.
the positive in something, because why not?
Why not is
It's
right.
there.
Yeah.
You got to look for it. And if you're not looking for
Yeah.
it, you won't see the positive. You only see the negative. So.
And you've done so much. You've given a lot of people jobs and helped them have their own little businesses. So it's not even just that you created this successful business. You've helped other people
Yeah.
evolve in
Yeah.
their lives.
That's right. Thousands of people wake
Right.
up every day because of mobile offers, working at a store or selling a product or doing marketing for the brand in another country. And that's, for me, super fulfilling. I mean,
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's all about people.
Right, right. That's wonderful. And you've done, and I know you do a lot for EO and your community. So it's a beautiful thing, everything that you've created, Eric. Is there any last piece of wisdom or advice that you'd want to share with the people listening who might be in their early stage business and just thinking about getting going?
I think just start is it for me just a 90% of it.
Yeah.
And I think another thing people do is they give up too soon. So if you go into it knowing whatever I think is going to work probably isn't going to work. It's hard to think that way,
Right.
Because you think it for a reason. You think it's going to work. It's not.
Yeah,
Look at
it's a
every single business in
possibility.
the world. They didn't start with what they have today. They started with
Right.
some random thing.
That's right.
So I think a lot of people get out there and they make one of two mistakes. Number one, they try it part-time. And if you try it part-time, that means you're giving part effort. And if you give it part effort,
That's a good point.
it's never going to work.
Right.
And so they never give their idea a real chance to succeed. And so, of course, it fails.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to go all in. Otherwise, you're not doing it justice,
Right.
and it's probably not going to work. And that doesn't mean quit your job and you do your crazy
Of course.
idea. But if you're not putting in those 8-hour,
Right.
9-hour days, even if it's a moonlight, it's probably not going to work.
And at some point, you just got to cut the cord and say, you're never going to have enough money. It's never going to be, it's like anything in life, you know?
Yeah,
You
either
just
do
got
it or
to
you're not.
just do it. And
Yeah.
it's going to drive you, right?
Yeah.
In your case, it
Yeah,
just
we
drove
had-
you.
When you have to make something work, when
That's
you have to
right.
swim, you figure out how to swim.
That's right.
So that's one mistake, is they just never give it a chance.
Right.
And then the other is when they get those inputs, like, all right, no one bought the thing, no one's saying this is a good idea. They give up, like, it didn't work.
Right.
And the reality is, you take that feedback and you make a change, and you make a change, and you
Right.
make a change. And eventually, if you're fired up so much about something, you're going to pour your heart into it.
Right.
You're going to make it work.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter what the idea. People come to me all the time. You think this is a good idea? X, Y, Z. I say, are you fired up about it? Yeah. Could you see yourself doing that every day for the next 10 years? Yeah. Then I think it's a great idea.
Right.
I don't care what the idea is.
And are you willing to put in the
Yeah,
right?
the effort.
That's
Are you
the-
going to
that's
pour
the
it
other
all in
thing.
for 10 years?
right? You willing to be poor for a while? You willing to right?
Yeah.
Work
Do
90
whatever it
hours.
takes. Yeah, cold call, knock on doors, whatever it is.
Whatever it takes.
Then it's a great idea.
Right.
Because that's what it's going to take.
Right.
The idea is not the magic sauce. You
No.
are. The
Right.
people in your company are.
Yeah, it's
when you
great.
get to that point, you start hiring people. That's what's going to make it work. Not
Yeah.
the magic idea that no one ever thought of.
Right.
That's not a thing anymore.
Right. No, because somebody else is right behind you creating that idea. Are going to make it
100 more
better.
people. Yeah.
Right.
The story I always tell is, there's Taco Bell, and they had like 8 gajillion locations. And then someone with the idea of Chipotle came along. You think if he
Yeah.
asked all his friends, hey, I'm thinking about doing fast food Mexican. What do you think? You think they all would have said,
Right.
like, great idea. I think it's going to. No,
Yeah.
they would have said, like, there's already Taco Bell. It's already been
Right.
done.
Right.
Well, look at Chipotle. They're crushing
Right.
it.
And how many other Mexican restaurants can you find in a several block radius?
They're crushing it.
Right.
But if you ask people, they don't convince you it's not a good idea. It's too
Right.
crowded. Someone already thought
Right.
of it. None of that matters. If you're fired up about it, just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
That's
yeah.
that's my final
That's
piece
great.
of
That's
advice.
great. Eric, you have such a great story. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Tina.
much for coming today. I really
Of course.
appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Yep.
Happy to help.
If you'd like to know more about Entrepreneurs Organization or EO Accelerator or EO Ignite, go to eophiladelphia.com.